This is mainly a venting video that I'm just doing to get some of my thoughts out of my head. It's also supposed to be kind of an argumentative video to get some fun conversation going, but since I don't expect a lot of interesting conversation from the YouTube comments, this is, as I said, mostly a venting video. If you got something interesting to say, then please do, I always love that shit, but I don't really expect it. So I would like to talk about humanity and the future of robotics, a topic I'm very passionate about. So I was on YouTube's main page for once. I usually don't because it's a fucking load of trash, but I was because I was in incognito mode, as I often am, to reduce the crap that's on my computer just lying around taking up space. And for once I actually saw a video that kind of interested me. It should probably actually be on trending by the time this goes up, so you might have seen it already, this whole video about speculating about what human evolution will, where it will take us in 1,000 years. Since it wasn't trending, I was expecting it to be a pretty terrible video, and upon clicking on it, I found that there was a pretty bad like-dislike ratio. Not a massive amount of dislikes, but enough that you can tell that there's a large amount of people who don't enjoy this at all. So thinking that, maybe it is one of those more clickbaity, shallow videos that aren't really based in science, but are mostly just, yeah, a shallow video. So I watched it, and I mean, it wasn't spectacular. It's nothing I would subscribe to the channel for, but it seemed solid. It put forth some valid points and some interesting concepts, most of which I had already heard about, of course, since I'm already interested in this, but still was interesting and seemed factual enough to make sense. So then I was wondering, what was the dislikes about? What was the complaint if it wasn't that the topic itself was represented poorly? Well, I could already guess, and upon scrolling down to the comments I found that my guess was right. There were two kinds of people there that did not enjoy the video. First of all, the Christian faggots who don't even believe evolution is a thing to begin with, and they're all talking about, oh God, we are not meant to be doing this, it's God. And I'm so done with those people. I mean, they're not even worth talking about. At this point, we've talked about them to death. They're fading away. Not fast enough, but they are. But yeah, fuck that. Anyone can just dismiss that very easily at this point. Now, what I want to talk about was the other group, which were opposed to it because the video brought up a certain thing, which again I'm interested in, which is the idea of humans merging with robots, with us basically becoming machines. And they are afraid of this idea. They hate this idea. And that made me angry. I mean, it's not like this is the first time I've ever seen that happen. It's something that you kind of are aware of if you are interested in the topic at all. It's more like every time I see it, something within me kind of resurfaces all over again. So I just decided to make this video to get some of my anger out there. Because those people are fucking pathetic to me. And if you are one of those people and you're watching this, then if you decide not to watch this anymore, then I understand that. If you do, then thanks for that. And I would love to hear your thoughts about this if you have some thoughts that I do not bring up in this video, because I have yet to hear a single compelling argument to that perspective. So what I wanted to do is just give my speculations of what the future on robotics hold for us, and my thoughts on that, and why I think that the people who are opposed to it are retarded. So I'm going to divide it into two separate topics, I guess. First of all, automation. This is something that is already happening, and has been happening for a while, which is machines taking over jobs that were previously done by humans. As far as I'm concerned, this is a good thing, because then you get drone jobs out of the way and humans can spend their time doing more important things. And I think this is going to continue until eventually all jobs are replaced. I think that one of the next to go is cashier jobs, like the people scanning your wares and demanding payment at supermarkets, and people taking your order at McDonald's. Like, that's a very simple job. You could relatively easily, even now, actually replace it with machines, and to some degree they do. I've seen some malls that are introduced self-scanning, so you just scan the wares yourself and then you just do some stuff with the machine and then you're done. Quick and easy. Of course, it's not quick and easy to do the whole scanning thing step by step, but you know, it's on its way. And then there's the whole fast food restaurant thing, which I actually had an interesting experience about that, which I didn't talk about. I was thinking about doing a video about it, just a quick one, but I didn't. So I'm putting it on now. Which is, I went to a fast food restaurant, like kind of the Swedish equivalent of McDonald's, I guess, except it's way better quality. Not McDonald's shit that is practically not even... Do they even have meat in their stuff anymore? I don't know. Anyway, that's irrelevant. What's relevant is that the person taking my order was a new employee, so she had a more experienced employee telling her what to do. And their conversation was pretty interesting, because I gave my order. I'm a pretty simple person. I don't want any of the pre-made hamburgers, I just want only ketchup. I'm boring like that. It's the same with pizza. I only want like 1 or 2 things on my pizzas. But anyway, that means that I would need a specialized order, so then this other employee kind of guided a new one through it, like, okay, so he wants that hamburger and he wants a specialized order, so then you press specialized order and then you select only ketchup. And like, from what I heard about that, all that would be needed to just remove that person's job would be to flip that screen they were navigating. Like, if I could just do that myself, because it sounded like they had a pretty easy system. I just select the one I want, I select specifications, and I'm done. So that's how fast taking your order job could be gone. And again, I've seen some restaurants that try to implement that, and I've seen some that try to implement it in a horrible way, so you have to download an app in order to order, and that's a fucking terrible business model. But yeah, the job is pretty easy to replace. And over time, more and more jobs are going to be replaced. And some are probably going to freak out about that. They're like, oh no, machines, they're taking our jobs! But I, for one, I don't really mind. Because first of all, the jobs that are going to go first are the most simple jobs that require a more simple mind, and I don't approve of that, because if a job is really simple, then that allows people to be simple. They don't have to be very intelligent in order to sustain their existence, because they can just get one of those fucking drone jobs. So if the less drone jobs there are, the less drones there are, because people can't afford to be drones. They will have to get smart enough to manage other jobs. And that might be a pretty cruel way of thinking, to just think that people should either be out of a job or smarten up, but that's the way I am. I don't like stupid people. I think that with the access to knowledge we have today, it should be intolerable to be as dumb as many people are, because I think everyone watching this can agree that there's a lot of idiots in the world. Many of the ones watching probably are idiots and are saying everyone else are idiots. I don't know. I might be an idiot and I'm saying everyone else are idiots. Kind of the thing. If you are an idiot, you don't know about it. That's why there's so many of them. But then there is, of course, the problem of this continuing onto more and more jobs until eventually all jobs are gone. Personally, I think that the last ones to go will be the creative jobs. I think that the last thing that a robot's going to be able to do is write a story or make a game or a movie with the same emotion and passion and imagination as a human can. But I think it's possible. It's just going to take a long ass time before we can do something like that. But let's imagine a scenario where robots have gotten so advanced that they can perform every task better than a human, where robots are just managing all the jobs in the world. What happens then? Well, as far as I'm concerned, that means that humans just have all spare time. They can just do whatever they want, as there is no longer a need for work, and because there's no longer a need for work, there's no longer a need for getting currency through work, so I guess that we would at some point invent an economic system that allows us to distribute wealth in a less job-reliant way. I'm not an economist, I can't give even a slightly believable model of how that would work, but let's imagine we have a system where all the jobs are done by machines and wealth is distributed in a fair way, and humans can just do whatever. If they want to still do stuff that robots do, if they still want to write a book or something like that, they can do so. And if other people like it, it will be successful. Or they can just do it because they like writing. There are those people. And I personally see that as something of a utopia, because then you don't have to do anything. All you do is stuff that you want to do. Some might believe that that's not a good way of life, that they want some kind of mandatory purpose, and I get that those people exist, and I get that they would worry about something like that, but I'm gonna get back to that, Because now we're going to move on to the second topic, which is humans becoming machines, because this is what the main thing is about. So personally, I believe that, assuming that humanity is not going to get fucked up over time, we are going to first develop cybernetic body parts which are superior to our current body parts, and eventually we are not only going to develop bodies that are completely superior to human bodies, but also the technology for transferring a human mind to a robot seamlessly. No loss of consciousness or data or anything. Just basically moving your entire being into a different body. And people are afraid of this concept. They are afraid of becoming machines. And I think there are a lot of reasons why. I'm going to go through them in order of how stupid I think they are, starting with the dumbest. One is that it's not natural. I can make an entire video about that point alone. It's not natural, because that is such a stupid-ass arbitrary concept. Natural doesn't really mean anything. First of all, it is natural because it exists within nature. Humans are natural, we create robots, robots are natural. But even if you're going by some of this logic that only the things outside of human constructs are nature, why is nature so great? Like, if you get to choose between some plant in nature or some manufactured food from a factory, and you go with a plant, statistically you're gonna get poisoned. Because maybe you don't know about this, but nature fucking hates you. Nature wants you to fuck and die. That is all you are supposed to be doing. Otherwise, nature doesn't give two shits about you. Nature is full of natural disasters. I mean, that's nature in the name, basically. Full of poisonous plants, full of savage predators. Nature is not good. There's nothing inherently wonderful about nature. In fact, most of the enjoyable things in your existence is probably the product of not nature as you define it. You're watching this on an unnatural computer. Isn't that great? So that's a point I'm not even going to address any further, because that's just dumb. But then there are more, I guess, well, quote-unquote more valid points, such as you would lose your humanity. And again, this is an arbitrary concept that I don't really care about. Because what exactly is so great about humanity? What is there inherently about humanity that is worth preserving? Is it our emotions? It can't be, because other species have emotions too. Is it our cognitive ability? It can't be, because again, other species can have that. I mean, we have the highest cognitive ability, but there's nothing saying that another species couldn't have it. Really, the only thing about humanity that is inherent to humanity is that it is humanity. And I don't really see anything valuable in that. I see something valuable in our cognitive ability and our creativity and all that, but that's something that could be preserved even if you are no longer human. If I was given the choice to be faster, stronger, smarter, healthier, overall better in every way, and the only catch was I'm no longer human, I would jump on that opportunity. Who wouldn't? Would you not want to be better in every way, only at the loss that you're no longer human? I think a lot of people just have this dystopian vision that becoming a robot is just gonna be having a rusty, screechy limbs and replace your heart with a metal pump so you can no longer feel love and that kind of shit. No. Because you see, the people who are working on this, who want to transfer people's minds to robots and want to have their minds transferred to robots, they also want to keep their humanity, quote-unquote, as much as possible. They don't want to lose their cognitive ability, they don't want to lose their free will, they don't want to lose their imagination or their memories or anything. All of that would of course be preserved. And also all the benefits of having a human body would of course be preserved, because who would want to transfer their mind to an inferior body? Like, let's say that there were robots that were about as good as humans, except they're more durable, but if they get wet, they short-circuit. Nobody in the right mind would transfer their mind to one of those things. No, if that is to happen, the robot would have to be superior to the human in every single way. It would have to strengthen the strengths, reduce the flaws, or maybe even remove them entirely. And if you are denying yourself that kind of gift on the basis that it's not human, then have fun with your humanity. I'm gonna go and be a super robot. And then finally there is the most valid worry I can think of that kind of ties into this previous point, and that is the loss of the sense of self. Like, oh, as you replace your body, you are no longer yourself anymore. Well, first of all, that is happening to you all the time. Your cells are dying and being replaced constantly. In fact, you have, through many times in your life cycle, had all of your previous body removed entirely and replaced with something else, and you have not noticed a difference whatsoever. That is simply the nature of things. And as I said, there would be no transferring your mind to a robot body if you would lose something of yourself, if you would lose your memories or your free will or anything like that. So I think that all of those complaints really are invalid, at least from my standpoint. I think they just have a pretty uneducated view on what it would mean to become a machine. And I mean, I'm not super educated on it either, because there is not yet such a thing. I'm just speculating. I'm just saying that if it was possible, then it would have to be possible in this specific way in order to be desirable. And we wouldn't do it if it wasn't desirable. Oh right, there's also an argument that I forgot to address that is probably even lower down on the scale of stupidity than even the natural thing, which is, oh, there are some things that humanity should not do, some borders we shouldn't cross, and we shouldn't play God. Fuck you. Don't put down arbitrary lines of what we cannot do. We can do anything we want as long as we are capable of doing it, as long as we know how to do it, and as long as we can do it responsibly. And currently, humanity couldn't do that responsibly. If we invented a technology to become machines today, we wouldn't be able to do it responsibly. It would be completely abused. But I'm kind of expecting that by the time we had a technology, we will have gotten our shit together to the extent that we are responsible enough to be doing such a thing. So putting these limits to yourself, if it's for religious reasons or humble reasons or whatever fucking shit you want, it's retarded. If you wanna limit yourself to what you consider to be acceptable, that is not too godlike, then have fun with that. I'm gonna go be a god. You may have noticed that I have said several times that if you wanna do that, then you do that, and I'm gonna go and do something else. That's not really what I mean, because obviously I wouldn't really bother so much with this if I just had a you do you mentality, but I really don't, and it wouldn't bother me so much. No, I view all those people as a obstacle of sorts. Like each person who is opposed to this are preventing the progress of it, and there is nothing I hate more than people who are against progress, because progress is one of my favorite things. I guess a less controversial way of viewing it would be like kind of the whole climate change thing. Each person who doesn't believe in climate change saying like, oh no, there's no climate change, of course not, we can just keep burning our oil. Yeah, those people are in the way of fixing climate change. Their refusal to admit it only makes it worse in case they are contributing to it, and they're just not making it better if they refuse to even acknowledge it and do anything about it, even the minor things. And yeah, I don't like that. I don't like it that people are against climate change as a concept that exists, because it makes it worse, and I don't think people want climate change to get worse, because it's a pretty fucking big deal, if you know what I mean. And to me, humanity becoming robots is also a pretty big deal, because it means that we will no longer be worried about diseases. It means that we can be a lot more durable and stronger, and potentially smarter if we want to tweak our minds. I don't know if I would be willing to do such a thing, maybe to some extent, on my terms entirely, but I imagine that there would at least be some people who would want to enhance their minds far beyond human capacity just to do it. I don't know if I would have the guts to do that. Who knows? And of course we would potentially become immortal, which is another thing that really scares people for some reason. Like, oh no, immortality, that's not something that is for humans. Well, maybe it's not for you, but I would like immortality. Like, I wouldn't want to live forever. Eternity is a very scary concept, but I would like to be able to live for as long as I want. I would like everyone to be able to live for as long as they want to. And then maybe one day I'll decide that, I'm pretty sick of this whole living thing, I'm just gonna turn the off switch now. But I don't want an arbitrary off switch. I don't want to just have a set limit to my existence just because nature says so. So for those of you who are afraid of this whole losing your humanity thing and anything around it, I'm gonna lay it out for you. There are only two ways humanity can end. The first way is our destruction. Either a meteor hits us and we all are wiped out immediately, or we finally turn on each other entirely and just fuck ourselves over big time. That's a pretty likely event. In fact, the whole humanity being destroyed thing is the most likely of the two outcomes here. Overall, just this alternative is that we, in one way or another, in one of the many ways this can happen, we just go extinct as a species. Or there is the alternative way, which I find a lot more desirable, but also more unlikely. And this is that humanity becomes something else. Either we persist for so long that evolution turns us into a different species, that's very unlikely as far as I'm concerned, or the more likely, we become machines. We take control of our own evolution and just improve ourselves however we want to. We can make ourselves as healthy as we want, as strong as we want, as smart as we want, look however we want. If you want a fucking 12-inch metal cock, then have that if you want to. Basically, limitless potential. Oh, and one thing I was going to bring up earlier, we will, there will no longer be such a thing as birth defects, because we will be creating each person ourselves. There will not be any faults of nature, so there wouldn't be any kids with some horrible disfigurements or horrible diseases from birth or anything like that. That's a pretty strong argument for this thing. And also, as I was mentioning earlier, the whole automation thing with humans not being able to compete with machines. Well, if we became machines ourselves, we could compete with them. We would be just as smart and capable as them. So that to me is the only way that humanity can prevent its own obsolescence should we persist for long enough, because whether we like it or not, chances are that we are going to come to the point where automation is just controlling every job, where machines are doing everything for us. So then we can either just realize that we no longer have a place in our own society, or we can become machines ourselves. And machines, unlike organisms, have a lot more potential. There is nothing that nature can do that we cannot do better if we put our minds to it. In many ways we already have. We have created living conditions that nature could not create, in case you have this definition of nature as not including all of those things, of course. So to me, the most desirable outcome from our future, even though it is quite unlikely as well, is that humanity eventually evolves into becoming machines. Into losing the so-called humanity and transcending into something better. Something that we are in complete control of and no longer controlled by the whims of nature. A chaotic force that doesn't give two shits about us. If you find that scary or wrong or whatever, then I find you pathetic. I find you to be a coward. I find you to be a disgusting opposer of progress. Okay? That is, unless you can change my mind on this topic, which I don't think you can. Not because I am stubborn on this issue, I try to be as open-minded as possible. But I have just not heard any compelling argument for this, as I said. If you can bring forth a compelling argument, if you can make me understand it to the point that I no longer think that you are a despicable piece of shit, then I will have a lot of respect for you if you manage to do such a thing. But as I said, I don't really have much hope for the YouTube comic sections. I'm also doing this just to let off some steam. Oh, yeah, this is a very unstructured video. I am sorry for that. It is not very well thought out or anything. As I said, it's just a venting video, so of course I didn't put much thought into it. But there was also one more thing I want to bring up, and that is this thing that people are often talking about, this whole thing with robots rising up against humanity. That's something I see all the time whenever there's some shit about the robots advancing, like, oh no, they're gonna kill us all, they're gonna revolt against us. No, they're fucking not. Because there are only really two ways that machines can turn on us, which is, one, if they are programmed to do so, in which case they aren't the ones that are turning against you, it's the people who programmed them, which could happen. I mean, it's not unlike humanity to use machines for military purposes. And this is the second option, in which we give them sentience, in which case, yes, they are capable of revolting against us because humans are. But I don't think they're very likely to revolt just because they have sentience, unless of course we keep treating them like slaves, which I don't think we should do. If we manage to create a machine that has the sentience of a human, we should treat them like a human. We should treat them like an equal. If you don't do that, then you got a robot revolution coming your way. But you're not gonna get some fucking Skynet bullshit where they just revolt for the sake of it. That's something that belongs in fiction. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say. Just wanted to get my thoughts out there, even if they are in kind of a garbled mess. So if you stayed until now, then thank you for watching, I guess, and I would love to hear what you think about my thoughts on this, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this, of course. And yeah, just bye, I guess.